So this video is going to be on my initial impressions on leasing on with Giltner Transportation. They are a refrigerated hauler, and they'll haul other stuff too, dry goods, whatever, but dominantly they are reefer units. So really quick before I get too far into this, there are requirements to lease on over here. You already need to have your LLC license with your state. They need a company bank account or your LLC bank account, a current medical card, and 1 year of OTR. And that's just to come on board on the lease side. They have company side too, but that's those are the main requirements to come on the lease side. So before I get into orientation and stuff like that and how all that went, I just want to go over some of the negatives that I have, so that way if you hear something you don't agree with or like, you can just stop and not waste your time. The main problem that I think most people will have is there's a camera facing out and in. So but my experience with that has been that it's only for emergency use. You know, if you're involved in an accident, that's really when they're going to pull the footage and things like that. I haven't changed the way I drive at all, and I mean, I don't, not that I'm a bad driver, it's just they haven't bothered me with this camera. And so I did get one message about it when I first probably my first day out, and it wasn't that I was covering the inside lens. I had removed a piece of tape that the previous driver had covered up, and when I removed the piece of tape, I didn't clean off the sticky part, the residue from the tape. So I guess it was blocking I guess it was coming out spotty or blocking. It looked like I was intentionally blocking it, and I wasn't. But once I cleaned that up, in the last 3 weeks, I haven't heard anything about it. So it's really not that bad. It's just there for probably insurance purposes. I don't think they really are coming down on people. I don't have a problem, and I haven't had one yet. They don't, like I said, they don't reach out for much. And so to me, that's not a big deal. So another negative is some of the load schedules, meaning I think they give you too much time to deliver these loads. And that's just my personal opinion. You know, some people like plenty of time. You know, me personally, I want to utilize all my time out here so that I can continue to make money. You know, that's, you know, the main focus for me. The other thing is these guys are they're not a mega carrier. They told me, I believe they have something like 240 trucks operating. So they're kind of that, you know, lower mid-range kind of company. They have a lot of trailers, don't get me wrong, but most of what we do is going to be live load and live unload. Not that big a deal, but that is a negative. The routing, another semi-negative, depending on what kind of driving you like to do, is a lot of their business, because they're based in Idaho. They do have a lot of business kind of going up and down the coast, the Pacific Northwest, you know, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and California. So me personally, if I get a load from Washington or wherever down to California, I don't care what the next load is. I'm not accepting a load from California back up. I'm not going to go up and down. I just won't do it. So that hasn't really been too much of a problem. You know, I just tell them, hey, I want to go east, and they'll find me something, and I started going east. So that's not too big of a deal, but you know, that is something to be aware of. The other thing is being a lease operator with these guys is that they do have company drivers. So whether they want to admit it or not, we are competing for the better loads, or not even better loads. We're competing for loads with the company drivers. So if there's a load, let's say you're in Dallas, and there's two different loads, roughly the same amount of miles. One of them pays $3 a mile to the company, which you get 73% of, and the other one pays, $225, $230. As an independent contractor, which load do you think I'm gonna get? So that's, I guess that's with most places that you're gonna lease onto, or even bring your own truck for that matter. If they don't have a load board, which these guys don't, actually that's a good point. They don't have a load board. You are going to be relying on the load planners to send you over stuff, review it, and see if you're going to accept it or not. So that's another one. The fuel, to me, this is not really a negative. Is you can only fuel at Pilot and Flying J, and the one whatever place I forget what that's called, but Fuel One or whatever. And that's because they get a pretty sizable discount, and I'll go over that in my settlement numbers to kind of give you an idea of it's a really good discount. I was surprised. I'm somebody who used to like to fuel at the QT locations kind of across the country. Oklahoma has a lot of QTs with diesel pumps, and so does some of the southern states. So when I could find one, that was the cheapest fuel, and I used to like to go there. But with these guys, it doesn't really make a difference. But if you're somebody that likes going to TA and Petro, which I actually do, and I'm actually at a TA currently, so I'm gonna come out of money for a shower later, which is not a big deal because I'll just send that to the accountant and it'll go towards my taxes. The final thing, which is this probably should have been my second thing that's a problem here, or could be a problem, is the pay period. It's bi-monthly, which essentially is like some companies will pay the 1st and 16th of every month. Some companies pay bi-weekly, which is you get paid every other Friday. Some companies pay weekly, which is what we all like as truckers, and they don't do that for the lease operators or owner operators. The company guys will get paid weekly, so that's something else. Keep in mind that when you're bi-monthly, you're short 2 checks because of how they do the cutoffs. So instead of 26 checks or 52 checks in a year, you're gonna get 24. So essentially, you're being paid, the way it was explained to me by somebody a little smarter than I am, was you're getting paid for 2 weeks, 0.15, so 2.15 weeks worth. That's what your pay period consists of most of the time. So those are the only real negatives that I have about this place. And so from here, I'll go over the orientation process and get into some of the good stuff. And I'll let you know right now that overall I'm pretty happy so far. And so let's go over that. The orientation is really quick. It's 2 days. Before you get into to where they're gonna hold the orientation, it's either gonna be in Jerome, Idaho, and now they have a facility that they just set up somewhere in Missouri. I want to say it's close to Joplin. Could be wrong, but something like that. And so before you get to orientation, when you're talking with the recruiter, they're going to ask to send over all your documents, make sure everything's verified, and a couple of days, probably 5 or 6 days before you're scheduled, and it's on Mondays. Usually every Monday they'll have an orientation class. So they'll go over your itinerary for your travel. I'm assuming if you live super far, maybe you can get a plane ticket. I don't see that being a problem. For me, I lived just outside of Phoenix, and Jerome, Idaho was roughly 700 and some change away. So that took me 13 hours, give or take, to complete. So that was that. but they also send you the link to do all the computer stuff that we don't like doing, and it's a lot. It took me probably, I want to say, a good 7 hours total, and video. Some of them have questions, but you get all that done before you go to orientation, so you can do that, at home, kind of just, kicking back, whatever. Do it at your own pace. Take a couple of days to do it. I chose to do mine all at once. So, like I said, orientation is fairly quick. Excuse me. Quick 2 days. For the orientation, they'll do. It's a Zoom, so they'll run the class in Jerome, Idaho, with the office personnel there, and we'll be on a Zoom call with some of the guys from the other facility in Missouri. Pretty cool, actually. For me, I was the only one that day in Jerome, Idaho, and there was only 2 other guys in Missouri. And we flew through it. We were ahead of schedule both days. The first day we got let out like at, I want to say like 1:40 in the afternoon. So just because we were going through it so fast, and we didn't have those stupid stories that we've all heard in these large orientation classes, all these truck drivers, trying to out truck each other, and I went over this, and it was 10 inches of snow, and blah blah blah. So because the class was so small, and we weren't telling no bullshit stories, we were flying. So that's what also made it a lot faster. The truck, they'll give you a sheet the first day, and it'll have your truck number and stuff. So what I did was, on one of my 15-minute breaks that, go use the restroom, whatever, I went out to the yard, which is obviously right outside the door, and I found my truck. I came and looked at it, did my normal inspection that I would do getting into a new truck or a new tractor. And so when I went back in a couple hours later, towards the end of the day, she was like, hey, go inspect this truck. I said, I already did. She goes, hey, perfect. So all that, and let me tell you, the truck I got had I think it had 86,000 miles, or give or take, and the inside looked immaculate. I mean, they really did a good job cleaning this truck before I got into it. So it looked better than some of the brand new trucks that I've had over the years. So they did a really good job with that. And so no complaints there. And overall, the truck looks pretty good. And you know what, maybe let me show it to you really quick. I wasn't gonna do this, but I think it looks pretty clean, I think. So all these tractors are going to be white in color. The only difference is some of the Giltner Transportation logos, some of them are kind of like an orange or a red or a yellow. Mine's kind of like a neon green, kind of cool. But they're pretty plain. They look sharp in my opinion. The only thing I'm going to knock is I kind of wish my my guard up there, I kind of wish it was either chromed or all black. But gray's cool. It still looks pretty tough. I've actually gotten some compliments, and this is by far not a custom truck. So anyways, that's the truck. And the next thing is you'll speak with your driver managers. You'll be assigned to a group. You'll kind of give them an idea of how you like to run and stuff like that. But here's the thing, and this can kind of be a negative. These guys, they're okay. They're not, let's just say they're not detail oriented, and I've mentioned a couple of things, and they're dealing with a lot of people. There's only 4 different groups of dispatchers. So I mean, it's whatever. The the loads, the average length of haul is roughly, from what I've seen so in my short couple of weeks here, is probably about 900 miles. Yeah, probably about 900 miles. So that's pretty good. That's pretty steady driving. Not too much live unloading and loading every day. The load I just finished today was about 2,000 miles. So they're pretty long hauls. I'm happy with that. Way better than what I was doing at the other company. So overall, that's pretty good. We kind of went over the pay stuff, and I'll get into detail right now after I say just kind of some other good things. The trucks for the lease operators go 75 miles an hour. To me, that's awesome. I've never had a truck go that fast. And just the other day, I went from Amarillo, Texas, from the Petro there, I exit 75 on the 40, and I made it to Troy, Illinois, the pilot there, the one with the Jack in the Box and right next to it, and that was 773 miles. Now, mind you, I had to go through Oklahoma City, I had to go through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I had to hit pretty heavy traffic on the 44 on a Friday afternoon, and just constant passing, and so I averaged about 70 miles an hour that day. That's awesome. And so some of the other things is they leave you alone. They don't micromanage. They trust that you're going to be a professional and pick up this load on time, deliver on time, make sure the trailer's washed out if you need to wash it out, which obviously they're on account. You go to a Blue Beacon or wherever and tell them, hey, you're with Giltner Inc., blah, blah, blah. They'll do it up fast, no problem. So that's kind of most of what I wanted to say. And now here, let me talk about the pay. So I was really nervous. The last couple weeks, I'll be honest with you, because the person that recruited me to come over here was actually a former student of mine, somebody I trained back when I was working for Warner. And he kind of, I'm not going to say he misled me, he kind of exaggerated a little bit, and then when I got over here, he kind of more or less told me what he was averaging. And not a knock against him, but I think I'm a better worker than he is, and I think I'm a better trucker than he is, but that's beside the point. And he was telling me that he was averaging like 4,100 a settlement, 4,200 a settlement, and that's trash. For me, with the extra responsibility of being responsible for the truck, that's not enough. They're paying their company drivers, and I don't know how they come up with this pay scale, but it's 58 cents to 60 cents a mile. I don't know if they start everybody at 58 cents and that 60 is based on the time that you've been with them, or maybe they do say, hey, you've already got 5 years experience, we're going to start you at 60. I'm not sure how they do that, so that's not a question for me or nothing I can answer for you. But so this past settlement, I had 5,404 paid miles. Now, not all the loads pay the same. Some are better than others. So, but that's the loaded miles that I was paid for. As a lease operator, I don't get paid for deadhead miles or empty miles. So, we have to kind of eat that, which there really hasn't been a whole bunch. I think in that whole 2 weeks, I had right about 400 deadhead miles. So if you take to account, I did about 5 loads. That's probably averaging 80 miles deadhead every load. That's not bad. That's acceptable. So on 5,404 paid miles, the net settlement to me was $5,236.88. So keep in mind that's with a $250 deduction that they're taking out for a down payment on the truck. I have 6 months of this for every settlement, $250 deduction, because the down payment is $3,000, which if I decide to walk away, I can get that money back so long as I give them the 30-day notice, stuff like that. And towards the end, I'll go over some of those particulars. This settlement also had a deduction of $125, and what's going to happen with that is that goes towards the cleaning deposit. I have one more settlement of $125 deduction because the cleaning deposit is non-refundable, but the total is $250. So after the next settlement, I won't have that $125 anymore, but for the next 5.5 months, I'll still have that $250 deduction towards the down payment. Not a big deal. So keep in mind, I still made $5,236.88, but if you add those in, I really made $5,611.88. So that's pretty good. And I keep track of what I'm doing. The number I came up with before even knowing was only at 4,600 and some change. So I was panicking, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure, and I still don't know, because let's see how the next couple weeks go. But I was kind of panicked, and I was nervous. I was already looking, okay, what can I do to get out of here in case this isn't going to work out? But I'm pleasantly surprised. So let's look at how I did against the company driver. If I was a company driver at 58 cents a mile, and I would have got paid for all my deadheads, so that would have been 5,811 miles total. That would have brought me to $3,370.38. So I did better than a company driver by $1,866.50. That's pretty good. That's roughly $933 more a week if you're going to do it that way than a company driver. That's pretty good. And I'm 1,750 cents higher than a company driver making 60 cents. So that's still pretty good. Now keep in mind, that's also without those extra deductions, so I did a little bit better. And what it comes out to is I'm basically doing $1,000 a week more than a company driver. So that falls right in that sweet spot of it's right there to be okay, to justify being a lease operator than going company. Now don't get me wrong, the first tire I get, or if I got to replace all these batteries at one time, then I'm gonna get pissed off, and then that's gonna eat into my my profit. Now that's okay because it's gonna be a tax write-off. So that's another way to look at it. And I use ATBS for my taxes. I know some people don't like them. For me, they've worked out. They do a good job for me. They have an app. I send all my receipts, my settlements through the app. I don't got to deal with them. They'll do the taxes at the end of the year. They do everything for me. I'm happy with them. If somebody has another suggestion, I'm open to hearing it. But for me, they work. And so that's about the money. And I would show you the settlement, but I don't know how to do all that. And I don't know if Giltner has any policies about showing stuff like that. I'm not shy about giving information, but maybe in some future videos, if I learn somehow how to do that stuff, maybe I'll black some of the stuff out and show you the actual settlements. But so for right now, look, I'm happy here, and I really hope that I stay consistent. And I know, like anywhere, you're gonna have your good weeks, your bad weeks, your kind of middle of the pack weeks, but if I can stay consistent at an average, that's justifiable to be out here and also be a lease operator instead of a company, then that's good for me. I want to stay here because the people are pretty cool, and To give you an example, the people in the office when I was there for orientation, they're not this big corporate company who's worried about this and that, and you got to be careful how you talk and blah blah blah. They're more of a mom and pop kind of, like they're friends, and messing with each other, and nobody's disrespectful or anything, but they're not they're not a big company where you got to really be careful about what you say. As long as you do your job, they're gonna leave you alone, and hopefully you can make some money, and they can make money, and everybody's happy. So for now, that's more or less what I wanted to say. I'm sure I missed a couple of things, and maybe I'm not gonna do. I probably won't do a video every couple of weeks on the settlements. I'll probably do one the next settlement, just to kind of give you a comparison, but then I'll probably skip a couple and to see how we're doing and give you some averages and stuff like that. This video is strictly for information. I watch a lot of people's videos on trucking, just because, like I said, I was panicking these last couple of weeks, and even when I'm happy, sometimes I just listen to other people's trucking videos so I can kind of see their experience and how they're doing, where they're at. It doesn't help, it doesn't hurt, and I find these videos interesting myself, and I'm hoping that the information I provide on Giltner can help somebody out. And so for right now, things are looking okay, and I want them to stay that way, because I truly am pretty happy here. The loads are pretty good. The money was right as far as, like I said, this settlement goes, and it's pretty laid back. So in a couple of weeks, I'll come out with the other video and see how we did. But for now, that is all I have for you. So thanks.